Hello everyone, welcome back. In our today's video, we are going to be discussing about a very interesting topic. So before we go on to discuss about the topic exactly, I would like to ask you a question and I want you to be in that situation and answer. Okay? For example, if you are in a situation where a dog is chasing you, alright? So all of a sudden, what are the changes which will happen inside your body? The first thing is you will start running. Okay, just by seeing the dog chasing you, you will start running. So how are you able to pick up a lot of energy all of a sudden and run? And the second situation is you have had your break at school. Alright, so after break it is going to be your maths period. And maths teacher is going to bring the test papers which you have written that week. So what will happen all of a sudden inside your body when you come to know that maths ma'am is going to bring the test papers? So you know what happens, you become anxious, you start, if you have not performed well, you will start sweating, your heart rate increases. So why are all these changes happening spontaneously inside your body? So all these changes are happening because of hormones. Okay. So in our today's video, we are going to be discussing about hormones. Okay. So hormones, the word hormones means to excite. So what are these hormones? What are they responsible for? Hormones are nothing but chemical messengers. So hormones are chemical messengers which causes a lot of biochemical changes which is happening inside our body. Alright. So these are chemical messengers which will go and act on a specific target organ to bring about a particular change. So now let's understand about hormones even better. Alright, so I told hormones are chemical messengers. So now let's understand what are their characteristics, from where are they produced and all of those things. Okay, so the hormones are produced by glands which are known as the endocrine glands. Okay, actually our glands are divided basically into two. One is the exocrine gland and the other one is the endocrine gland. Okay, so the endocrine glands are the glands which are going to be producing the hormones. And what are these exocrine glands? Exocrine glands are the glands which are going to be producing the enzymes. Okay, and all the endocrine glands are ductless glands. So what is the meaning of ductless? Okay, usually, for example, let's draw the salivary gland. Okay, for example, consider this as the salivary gland. So all the salivary glands will have a duct. So this is a duct. They have a duct through which they pour their secretion. So what usually salivary glands secrete? Salivary glands basically produce the saliva. So many glands have got duct through which they pour their secretion into the body. Alright. But then some glands do not have this duct. So this duct is absent in some glands. So those glands which lack the ducts are only known as ductless glands. Is that clear? So endocrine glands are all ductless glands. They do not have ducts. Alright. But then exocrine glands have ducts. Exocrine glands have ducts. Alright. So with the help of the duct only, the exocrine glands are going to be pouring their secretion. Now let's take a look at some of the examples of the endocrine as well as the exocrine gland. Okay. Pituitary gland, pineal gland, okay, and there are a lot more other glands which we will discuss later on. And then when we talk about exocrine glands, we have the sweat glands, and then the salivary gland. So all these glands have ducts through which they pour their secretion, and all the endocrine glands do not have ducts. They do not have ducts to release their secretion. So if they do not have a duct means where are they going to pour their secretion? All the endocrine glands will pour their secretion directly into the bloodstream. Alright. So all the endocrine glands are going to be directly releasing the hormones. Okay, so what is the secretion of the endocrine glands? It is going to be the hormones. So all the endocrine glands will directly release their secretion, that which is the hormone, into the bloodstream. Alright, now let's take a look at the characteristics of hormones. So the first characteristics of hormones are that all the hormones are going to be produced by endocrine glands, which are the ductless glands. Okay, and all the hormones will be directly poured into the bloodstream. Okay, then the third characteristic is that all the hormones will be produced only in small quantities. Fourth very important point is that hormones will be produced only when there is a need. Now enzymes are not like that. Enzymes are going to be there always. They can be released anytime. But hormones are not like that. Only when there is a need for it, it will be functioning. Okay, only when the hormones are needed in that particular situation, it is going to be released. Alright, then the fifth important point is that hormones are target specific. So I said they are released into the bloodstream. We have already discussed that hormones are going to be released into the bloodstream. So when it is released in the bloodstream, it is going to go to every part of your body. Alright, so when it is going to every part of your body, it cannot go and act anywhere as it wants. Alright, for example, if a hormone is going to be acting only on the uterus, it will act only there. If you put it on somewhere else, it is not going to do that specific function. So it is target specific. Okay, so it knows where is its target organ and it will act only on that target organ. Okay, so it's target specific as well as it's action specific. It is very specific in what action it has to be performing. Alright, so these are some of the characteristics of the hormones. So now let's take a look at the different locations in our body where different endocrine glands are present, and we will also discuss about the hormones which are produced by each of these endocrine glands. So first let's begin with our head. So in the head region, there are two endocrine glands. One is the pituitary gland and the other one is the pineal gland. Okay. Next, let's move on to the neck region. So in the neck region, thyroid gland is going to be there, and the other one is the parathyroid gland. So thyroid and parathyroid are both endocrine glands which are going to be there in the neck region. Then the next is in the thorax. In the thorax, which is the chest region, thymus gland is going to be present. So thymus gland is going to be present just above the heart. Alright. And then the next we'll move on to the abdomen. So in the abdomen, two glands are going to be there. One is the adrenal gland, which is located just above the kidney, and the other one is the pancreas. Okay. So you must have come across pancreas already when you have studied about the digestive system. Alright. Then, but here the function of pancreas will differ, so we will take a look at that as well in detail. And the next glands we are going to be talking are the gonads. So gonads, they are going to be in the pelvic cavity, in the pelvic region. Okay, so gonads are nothing but the reproductive part of male and the female, and both are endocrine in function. So ovary is going to be the endocrine part of the female, and testis is going to be the endocrine part in case of males. So in our today's video, we are going to be discussing one gland alone, which is the pituitary gland. And then in our upcoming videos, we will discuss about all the other glands as well. So now let's move on to discuss about the pituitary gland. So now we are going to begin with discussing about the endocrine glands. So the study of endocrine glands and the hormones and all of these things, that is the entire endocrine system, is known as endocrinology. So the study of endocrine system is known as endocrinology, and the father of the endocrinology is Thomas Addison. So Thomas Addison is the father of endocrinology. So the first endocrine gland that we are going to be discussing is the pituitary gland. So this pituitary gland is located in the midbrain. Okay, so the pituitary gland is located in the midbrain, and then its size is just about a size of a pea. Okay, so it's so small, just about the size of peas, and it is going to weigh only 0.5 grams. But this gland is known as the master gland. So pituitary gland is known as the master gland. So why is it known as the master gland? Because it has the control over all the physiological activities which is happening in our body. So that is why it is known as the master gland. And this pituitary gland is in turn controlled by hypothalamus. Okay, so this is in turn controlled by the hypothalamus. Okay, and when we talk about the pituitary gland produces a lot of hormones which are going to act on some other endocrine gland in order to release different hormones. Okay, so all the hormones which are going to be produced by pituitary gland are all stimulating hormones, which means the hormone which is coming from the pituitary gland will go and stimulate one more endocrine gland, and that endocrine gland will in order release another hormone. So it is basically going to produce the hormones which stimulate the other endocrine glands. Alright, so before we go on to discuss about the hormones, let's take a quick look at the structure of the pituitary gland. So I said it is located in the midbrain. It's a very small gland, and then it's very important for us to understand even about the exact location where it is situated in the midbrain. Alright, so in the midbrain, it is located in the sphenoid bone of the skull. It's located in the sphenoid bone of the skull, and then the place where is located, it's a depression. The place in which the pituitary gland is located, it's actually a depression, and that depression in that sphenoid bone where the pituitary gland is located is known as sella turcica. So sella turcica is a depression in the sphenoid bone where the pituitary gland is going to be located. So this is the exact location of the pituitary gland. So now let's take a quick look at the structure of the pituitary gland. So pituitary gland is divided into three lobes. Okay, so the large lobe which you are seeing this side is called as the anterior lobe. Okay, this anterior lobe is also called as pars distalis. Okay, or it is also called as the adenohypophysis. Actually, pituitary gland is also known as hypophysis. Alright. So pituitary gland is also known as the hypophysis. So the anterior part of the pituitary is known as adenohypophysis, which means the anterior pituitary. Alright. Okay. Then moving on to the posterior pituitary lobe. The posterior lobe, so this is the posterior lobe. So the posterior lobe is also known as pars nervosa, or it is also known as the neurohypophysis. Okay, so there is one more lobe in the center. This lobe is the intermediate lobe, which means it is in between the anterior and the posterior lobe, and this lobe is called as pars intermedia. Okay, so this lobe does not have any significant role in case of human beings. So we are not going to be dealing with that in detail, but they do have role in other invertebrates and some of the vertebrates as well. But for mammals, they have a very so they do not have any significant role to play in case of the mammals. Alright. So but I will tell you what hormone the pars intermedia is going to be producing. So the hormone which is going to be produced by pars intermedia is the melanocyte stimulating hormone. So the melanocyte stimulating hormone, MSH. Melanocyte stimulating hormone, which is produced by the intermediate pituitary, is responsible for the production of the pigment melanin and also for the dispersion of this pigment. Alright, so this is about the pars intermedia, but it does not have any significant role in case of mammals. Alright, now let's take a look at what are the hormones which are produced by the anterior lobe and the posterior lobe of the pituitary gland.